Hello, how's it going? Today we're going to talk about product design and AI, basically how a product designer uses AI in his experience with early stage companies. You might ask, why am I in the airport? And the funny thing is that we are later doing a deep dive and an example with a real case, and we chose Speak to do that. And the funniest thing is that I was in the airport and I looked up and I see Marius just walking by, which was the CEO of Peak. So I had to say hi, and I think that the intro is actually much funny if we do it like this. What we are going to talk about basically will be the main process on how now you go from a goal to having feedback and prototyping, how wireframes have changed, and how you can leverage AI to just like pick up your brain and basically have a full understanding of all the potential possibilities that you can actually have. We're going to talk about MCPs, we're going to talk about how Movin or any inspiration can actually help us. But the whole idea would be how to nail first the UX to then nail the UI and overall just to deliver a big product. So thanks for everything, and see you when I have a more quiet space to talk. We're back. We're back in a bit more quiet place. So first of all, who am I? My name is Gerard. I have designed in tech for the past 9 years, and I was very lucky lately to be working with companies like Cortea, with Telly, helping them with either design systems, feature development, UX in general. And it has been very interesting to see this process that we're going to cover change. So how did it change? First of all, what are we going to do? We're going to take Peak as an example, as I said before. We're going to make up or like simulate a discovery and a goal. And then we will work on this first layer, like the context layer. And then after, I will run you through what was my process to come up with a deliverable. It really depends on this case, and it really depends on companies that you're working in, but take this with a grain of salt. That was just like my experience, and it also has changed depending on who I was working. But first of all, in order to find a goal, or in order to like start with a mini UX discovery, what I did was I went to Claude and I've tried to look for reviews, what people were saying online. That's the easiest way to find where can you work on. I personally chose this specific thing, which is like Peak is amazing for monitoring, like a data analytics, but I don't know what to do with that information. Like some people might not be super technical in how to apply this sort of findings. So if you think about it, this is the goal, this is the UX discovery. How are users solving it today? Most likely what users are doing is finding out, taking a screenshot, going to ChatGPT and asking questions. Might not be the most useful way of doing it, but that was my first thought, my first intuition. So I went to Movin. Where am I? I went to Movin first, and I took a screenshot of Peak. Here's where you can find different inspiration of how people solve different problems, but Peak is also there. So basically I took a screenshot, and then I went to Figma Make, and I called this like, make this pixel perfect. And I did the first exploration with the chat. Not really great, but also not really bad. It just takes a lot of space and makes you want to leave the space that you were. So I took a different route and I went for another exploration. So basically, Figma Make, do different explorations. Once I was happy with, I ran out of credits, classic. What happened then? I posted in GitHub. I cloned in local, in my cursor, and I started working with Cloud Code and Cursor to do different variations. What did I achieve with? What did I was happy with? I was happy with some sort of simulate version of people extracting information. What does that mean? So if people are genuinely curious about visibility, they would try to copy and then send it to ChatGPT. What can Peak do? Peak can have a small chat version that is trained with their own data that helps you and tells you, with this information, you might just rank higher if you do this step and this step and this step. So a little button that says Ask Peak. It's super simple. It's, again, this is with a couple of hours of thinking, so it didn't really bear with me. But it's like a little button that when you click, it opens up navigation and then has the context in here. It's like, how can I rank higher? And as you will see, it gets them thinking and gives you an answer. Obviously, this is hard-coded, but it would be super sick that the actual Peak would tell you, maybe try posting this and this and this, or maybe, again, I don't have all the information about how Peak works and what is the roadmap, but this is just an example for the sake of explaining it. once I have these variations that I did 3 different variations, changed a couple of within this variation, I changed when I chose the chat that comes up from the right side. And I made that decision. I did also some variations. But how does that translate? Okay, now I have this. It's a local host. How do I do that? When I'm happy with this, then I went up to Figma, and here's where I did different variations of the buttons. And then once I was happy with, I just basically did the deliverable as it's in any other feature, which is screen by screen, basically showing all the states, passing the context, how is the thinking, and at the end, how it would look like if there were some sort of interactiveness between the user and the system. And then once I did that, I basically make sure that all the buttons have all the states for the developers. And I also redesigned slightly the button header because it fits more with the new interaction that I made. And once I had this, at the end, what you have the design in Figma. You also have a code that usually can be PR or can be zip, download, and send. This combination of both helps the developers understand a little bit more what they have to implement. But overall, that's it. It is this simple. Obviously, this was done with 2 hours of planning and maybe 3-4 hours of executing, and then 10 hours of shooting video. But the idea is that this is the flow. So if you have any other questions, or if you have any sort of comments or places that that you would have liked that I touched a little bit more deeper, please let me know. I'm available in WhatsApp, LinkedIn, and Twitter. So I hope that was enjoyable, and yeah, see you soon.